Wednesday morning, September 7th. After a night of much-needed rest and bitter tears, I woke up with my sister's face still buried in my chest. It had taken considerably longer than usual for her to fall asleep, completely throwing off our routine. Further drama added to our already complicated lives. Usually I'm the one who stays awake worrying about our future, but last night my body was far too sore to permit such unnecessary extra fatigue. Whatever is going through Sarah's mind, it was enough to force us to switch roles, if only for the night. No matter what excuses she makes, the proof that something is wrong has now soaked the front of my shirt. Dragging my aching body from bed, I softly removed my sister's arms from my chest and headed to the bathroom. I gave my body another brief inspection, eyeing the bruises adorning my torso as I attempted to assess the damage. Wow, that ointment really did the trick. I may be a fast healer, but even I can't make bruises disappear overnight. Some of the bigger ones are still present and looking far worse than yesterday, but I'm sure they'll be gone in a day or two. Now, if only bruise ointment could fix a broken tailbone. Clearing such concerns from my mind, I head back to my room and change into fresh clothes, the kind that aren't soaked in tears. Usually I'd wait for Sarah to leave the room, but since she's still sound asleep, I suppose there's little point. Whatever got into her last night, Sarah's body is already compensating for it. I hope you feel better today, Sarah. You're really worrying me. I racked my brain as I tried to think of all the possible reasons for Sarah's sudden unease, but the only causes I could think of didn't explain her desire to move. If Sarah were simply distraught over her parents' deaths, moving from one rented house to another wouldn't solve anything. Similarly, if Sarah were having problems at school, she'd want to change schools, not houses. The only thing that would be changed upon moving houses would be the commute itself, which... No, wait a second. I might be onto something there. Sarah catches both a bus and a train to school. That gives her ample time to be affected by the evils of this town. Are other students harassing her? Are strangers approaching her? Is Sarah simply feeling uneasy in this unfamiliar town? Whatever the truth may be, there is unfortunately nothing I can do to help. Not yet, at least. As long as Sarah won't confide in me, I'm already limited in the number of ways I can help, and if moving house isn't the only way to put her mind at ease, we'll still have to wait until I have more money. All I can do right now is give her time. I'll let Sarah sleep in, spend the day at home and regain her usual sense of self. And while she's doing that, I'll be tending to problems of my own. With Sarah staying at home, I knew I couldn't afford to wait for Marcus to show up at my house, thus prompting me to make an early escape. I headed to my former workplace, the warehouse in which Mr. Muto had me moving furniture, assuming that would be the second place Marcus would think to check. And surely enough, before I could even walk through the gate, the man in question stood in my way. Well, someone's eager this morning. What are you doing here so early? I was almost relieved to hear Marcus's voice greet me, offering a familiar alternative to the rest of my depressing morning. Without work and school, I have nothing to do with my time, and with Sarah as lethargic as I've ever seen her, it would be difficult to lift my spirits. Is it a crime to show up to work early? In my eyes, it is. Even if you were still working here, your shift wouldn't start for another half hour. It's only 8:30 a.m. Whatever, it's not like I plan on making a habit of showing up this early. Still, to think that I can't even go to work at the right time without Sarah to send me off, how pathetic. And what about you? You don't start for another half hour yourself. I was waiting for you, of course. My day cannot possibly start until I see your refreshing face. Sorry I asked. Anyway, we aren't going to start just yet, are we? Though, to be honest, I'm actually a little eager to vent my frustration in the gym. Now, when it comes to bodybuilding, martial arts, and the like, rest is just as important as training. Even so, that doesn't mean you're free to do as you please. Before we get started on today's training, there are a few people I think you should meet. Leaving work as soon as I arrived, Marcus dragged me to a Chinese restaurant on the other side of town. Lee's Diner, a quiet place many districts away from my current home. Usually I'd put up a little more resistance, but without anything in my stomach, I'm not about to turn down a proper meal. We arrived via public transport, taking our sweet time to get there. Apparently Marcus made his way to work on foot, leaving us without a car for the time being. But with the free breakfast on my mind, I wasn't going to complain about a little walking. Upon entry, it became obvious that we were the only patrons present. The only other humans present were 3 staff members, likely the Lee family. I took a seat and waited while my partner walked around the restaurant. Good morning. How can I help you today? Yo. That time already, huh? Well, let's get a move on. Suo, close the blinds and lock the door. Oh, why would I? Just do it. Marcus proceeded into the next room, taking Mr. and Mrs. Lee with him. By the time I did as Marcus asked, the 3 of them were already out of earshot. Whatever they want to talk about, it's apparently private, even from me. Oh, hell. Like I'm not gonna listen in. The second I rose to my feet, a young girl blocked my path. No doubt the daughter of the couple escorting Marcus. She stood directly in front of me with her arms out wide. Either she's desperate for a hug, or this girl doesn't want me to sate my curiosity. Fine, fine, I get it. No eavesdropping. I sat back down, suddenly less than inclined to listen in. I sat back down, alright, I'm not going to eavesdrop. What is this girl doing here anyway? It's the middle of the day. She should be at school like all of the good boys and girls. Only useless bastards like me skip school so they can work. Hey, shouldn't you be heading to school? School? Forget it. It's none of my business anyway. Before I could mull the question over any further, Marcus and the Lee couple returned from the next room. Sorry to keep you waiting. I know how busy a man you are. Unfortunately, it would appear that Mr. and Mrs. Lee don't understand just how swamped we are. Marcus's voice was laced with sarcasm, but beyond that I could hear agitation in his voice. In fact, they've been so uncooperative that there's been a change of plans. A change of plans? I don't even know what the original plan was. Marcus moved towards the young girl I'd been conversing with moments ago. She stared at him blankly as she'd been staring at me, and then he returned her gaze with an angry glare. Marcus, what are you doing? Rather than answer me, Marcus grabbed the girl by her arm, then calmly moved over to the counter. I really had wanted to do this peacefully. The second Marcus reached the counter, he shifted his grip on the young girl, throwing his arm around her collar. From under the counter, he grabbed a pistol, aiming at the girl's temple without hesitation. I was trying to do this by the book. I was trying to be nice. But since you frickin' cheeks don't understand how to negotiate, I guess I have no choice. I remained seated, shocked by the sudden call to action. Mr. and Mrs. Lee were in a similar situation, immobilized by fear, afraid to take a single step lest their daughter pay the price in response. We all simply stared at Marcus, eyes wide open, without a clue what he would do next. Now that I've got everyone's attention, May. Mrs. Lee suddenly shouted out, interrupting Marcus mid-sentence. Please, why are you doing this to us? Just take what you want and leave. Marcus ignored their pleas, violently pushing his gun into May's temple. The instant Mrs. Lee took a step forward. As I was saying... Suo, get over here and empty the cash register. We're robbing them. We're settling a debt. Now get moving. Despite my hesitation, I did as Marcus said. I pushed past the worried parents crumpled on the floor, then made my way over to Marcus's side. I opened the cash register and placed its contents in a takeaway bag, counting the money as I did so. Marcus, there's less than $100 in here. Hardly worth committing armed assault over. I figured as much. The real money's in the bag, am I right? Mr. Lee looked away as Marcus asked. Real money? This restaurant is just a front for Mr. Lee's real business. In reality, Mr. Lee here is what you could call a money launderer. Unfortunately for him, he also has a nasty habit of gambling, and as it turns out, he fucking sucks at it. Now let's try this again. No, May. Bring me the real money. Marcus pistol whipped me, sending her straight to the floor. He then pointed his gun straight at the back of her head, telling her parents exactly what they needed to do. Despite her panic, Mrs. Lee broke free from her husband's grasp, showing no hesitation as she did what Marcus asked. She returned post-haste with a briefcase in her hands, practically throwing it toward us before retreating to her husband's side once more. Suo, what are you waiting for? Check the suitcase. Still pointing his gun at his hostage, Marcus sent me to check on his reward. Once again following his orders without question, I took the briefcase in both hands, then placed the metal latches on top. Is this cocaine? Ooh, triple dipping, are we? Gambling and money laundering not cutting it. So, give it a taste. What are you? I'm not telling you to snort it, just give it a little taste. Cut one of the bags open, lick your finger, dip it in, and rub your finger on your gums. You've got to be kidding me. Asking me to empty a cash register is one thing, but sampling drugs? I can't. I don't even know what this stuff's supposed to taste like. Hell, I don't even have a knife with me. Oh, for fuck's sake. Marcus unveiled a knife from behind his back, tossing it to my side and offering no further leeway. Swallowing the last of my reservations, I took the sturdy blade and sliced open one of the bags. I followed Marcus's instructions, dipped my finger in the bag, taking as small amount as possible and hesitantly rubbing it on my gums. What I found was a familiar taste. It's fucking sugar. Without saying another word, Marcus put a bullet through the back of May's skull. He then followed up with a shot to Mrs. Lee's chest and ended with a bullet through Mr. Lee's forehead. In a matter of seconds, he wiped out the Lee family, quickly murdering them all without a moment's hesitation. And as the corpses lay before him, Marcus calmly grabbed the paper bag full of cash, then waltzed in the next room as casually as ever. What are you waiting for? We aren't done yet. Keep an eye out for anything valuable, got it? After scrounging up whatever cash we could find within Lee's diner and ordering 3 corpse removals, Marcus took a seat on the opposite side of the room, gesturing for me to do the same. Happy to move as far away from the late Lee family as possible, I grabbed a chair facing the opposite direction, choosing to glare at Marcus rather than glance over at the dead bodies behind me. Don't look at me like that. It's part of my job, alright? It's part of your job to kill people for no damn reason. Oh, please, like you're one to talk. Besides, now that my cover job with Mudo is gone, thanks to a certain someone, I'll be doing a lot more of this from now on. Cover job? What are you talking about? You didn't think I was working with you because I like moving furniture, did you? I was working for Mudo to help explain my suspiciously high income. My real job is far more dubious. No, I already gathered that much. What I mean is, what is your real job? What kind of job means killing people like that? Well, do you remember Karasu, the man I told you about in the underground stadium? I work for one of his underlings collecting gambling debts, many of which are accumulated in that very stadium. So Marcus is already working for that man, huh? No wonder he knew so much about that stadium and had keys to the side entrance. That still doesn't explain why he had to kill those 3. Why are you getting so hung up on a couple of corpses? Mr. Lee not only failed to pay his debt, he also started dealing drugs on the side, obviously without Karasu's permission. That kind of deception cannot be tolerated. He needed to be made an example of. As much as I hate to admit it, I understand what Marcus is saying. Mr. Lee became indebted to the wrong person, then tried to avoid paying what he owed. Any self-respecting crime lord would have him disposed of. But there's one thing I don't understand. Then, what about the girl and the wife? Why should they die because of what he did? You aren't even trying to think for yourself now, are you? There are 2 reasons why I did what I did, and even if you don't agree with them, I'm sure you'll understand. First, there are many people who care more about the lives of their families than about themselves. By killing the family of someone who does wrong, others are warned that their actions will impact on their loved ones. Yeah. Like, I want to say that there's like supposed to be have here or something like that, will have an impact, but I guess they're using impact as a verb or something, I don't know. Others are warned that their actions will impact on their loved ones, giving even the suicidal reason to think twice. As for the second reason, Tell me, Suo, when a woman and a young girl living in a town like this have their sole source of revenue taken away and insurmountable debt pushed onto them, what do you think will happen? Debts and no source of money? A little too close to home, huh? But they aren't you. There are only so many ways ordinary people can make a living in this town. In all likelihood, they'd wind up working in a massage parlor or out on the street corner, and even then they'd never repay their debt. If I hadn't killed them, that's the sort of life that would have awaited them. A life of never-ending debt, huh? My situation might not be ideal, but if there's one thing I'm thankful for, it's that our parents left Sarah and I money in real estate, not debt. Even if we can't touch any of it right now, one day for sure we'll inherit what is rightfully ours. So all cleared up? I guess. But why did you drag me here? I thought you wanted me to learn how to fight. Oh, keen to get into the ring, huh? Thing is, trustworthy collectors are far more valuable than meatheads who know how to beat each other's brains in. Given your incident with Mudo and the fact that you didn't seem interested in fighting for a living, I thought this might be more up your alley. Well, he's not wrong. Does this mean you're going to be killing more people? Like you care. But no, chances are that I won't. This visit was an outlier. Most don't turn violent, and certainly not fatal. There's no money to be made killing people before they can repay their debts. Just a sec. Marcus left the table and headed for the door, letting in a familiar face. Honestly, again already? This is the second time you called me out this week. You gotta learn to deal with this shit yourself. Now, you should be flattered that I find you reliable enough to count on. I'm ecstatic. Now where's... Spying their corpses from across the room, Andre set his sights on the Lee family. Are you fucking kidding me? Removing a single relatively unscathed corpse is one thing, but those two are bleeding everywhere. There's a third one behind the counter. God damn it, Marcus. Leaving Andre to clean up his mess, Marcus and I spent the next few hours moving from district to district, performing collections at various locations. True to his promise, Marcus didn't kill anyone else, and although he did rough a few people up, I couldn't complain. Though I attempted to convince myself otherwise, the fact is that I have no problem with violence, or even with killing when it comes down to it. Despite my complaints, when things did turn violent during our last stop, I ultimately stepped in to help Marcus, allowing myself to do what I previously chastised him for doing. Even if I didn't kill anyone, the fact of the matter is, I'm really not a very moral person. After parting ways with Marcus, I headed straight home, making sure to return before my sister. With all of the despicable acts today birthed, the last thing I need is for Sarah to notice the blood on all my clothes. Further to that, if I don't get some rest and compose myself, she's going to sense that something is wrong. The best thing for me to do right now is just take it easy. I walked through the front door and straight into the living room, halting dead in my tracks as I noticed a presence that shouldn't be. Suo? You're finished with work already? Shit, I completely forgot that I left Sarah at home today. After seeing the state Sarah was in last night, I didn't dare wake her this morning. Well, not exactly. Wait a minute, is that... Oh my god, you're bleeding! Sarah jumped to her feet and immediately ran to the bathroom, diving for the medicine cabinet. She returned almost instantly, carrying with her bandages and antiseptic, which she hurriedly opened. Let me know if it's too tight, okay? Why do I need a bandage? This isn't even my blood. Is Sarah so worried that she hasn't noticed? What a joke. Though I suppose I shouldn't laugh, her concern is actually rather comforting. I spent today observing people at their worst, turning against one another over material possessions, laying blame, pleading for one more chance. It's nice to be reminded that not everybody is like that. Is this too tight? Tell me if it hurts, alright? Relax, I'm fine. It's just a little blood. You don't have to. I just noticed there's blood in his hair here. Like 2 spots apparently, maybe 3. Is that actually some on his face? Huh. No, I do have to. Let me fix this. I'll be done in a minute. I guess Sarah isn't willing to listen to reason. She's going to tend to my injuries, and I have no say in the matter. Maybe this is for the best. I don't like to see Sarah worried, especially when it's my fault, but it beats the depressed state she was in this morning. I'll take worried Sarah over depressed Sarah any day. Oh, chapter 4. So these chapters are kind of flying by. Okay, we're skipping ahead of 2 weeks pretty much.